All right, good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome to Steel City Renegades, week number 3. And do not adjust your screens there. This is D's. Dynamite Dave has come down with that uncurable disease known as work on a Sunday. So I will be joined today by our good friend, noted Chiefs fan, Ryan Neff. There he is. How you doing today, Ryan?
All right, D's week number 3, my friend.
Yeah, this is wow. Eh, it's hard to say that a 1-1 team is in a must-win situation in week 3, but I kind of feel that way because just what we've seen, and I don't know. I know you're not a Steeler fan, you're a Chiefs fan. You're kind of dealing with your own drama, so I don't know how much of our games you have actually seen, but just based on what we've seen on the field, we're in bad shape, and some things got to change.
And to expand on that, if it weren't for a meltdown by the Jets, the Steelers by right should be 0-2. Look, defensively, they're going to have to try and figure something out because whatever they're doing right now isn't working. I said after week number 1 that Rodgers was not going to have that type of game every game. He kind of fell back to earth last week. A lot of that had to do with the Seahawks defense. So, and look, you hear me say this time and time again. I mean, the Steelers ran the ball 21 times for 72 yards last week, and that's not going to cut it. And look, they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass last week. I was kind of shocked because it's like a little bit of home cooking. You're at home. It's the home opener. The emotions of football are returning back to Pittsburgh for the home opener. And look, they just fell flat, man. I don't know what else to say. So, I mean, I thought Warren didn't have a bad game, but you can't expect him to only run it 14 times, and Rodgers putting it up 33 or 40 times. You just can't win that way.
Yeah, and I was happy to see that they actually used Warren a little bit more. I still want to see more. I think the flow of the game, especially in the fourth quarter, kind of altered that a little bit, because look, at the end of the Jets game, I think we kind of got caught off guard there, and I will give credit. I think Justin played a great game and was kind of hyped and going against his former team, and then obviously our defense. We'll get to that in a minute, but Aaron played well, and then we get to the Seattle game, and as little as it was, I will say I saw improvements. Not only in like the offensive line play, even though Aaron did get hit a lot and was sacked, I think 3 or 4 times. I paid a lot of attention to Broderick Jones, who was just an absolute liability in week 1. And he, while I wouldn't say was good, I could say that I give him a passing grade. He was better. I saw improvement there. Aaron, not Aaron was average. If you just opened up the paper and looked at the stat sheets, you would be like, oh, he 2 interceptions. Well, one of which was kind of a desperation heave. The other one would have been a touchdown had Calvin Austin just kind of done what he was supposed to do and stay at the pylon, because Aaron had, that was just a laser to Freiermuth in the back of the end zone that Freiermuth, he was in, I can't guarantee Freiermuth would have caught it, but when you watch the trajectory of that ball, if Calvin Austin isn't there to tip it up into the air, the only person that could have caught the ball would have been Freiermuth. So, and then we had the kickoff gaff. So you take away those 2 plays, literally flip that game on its head. I'm not saying we would have won. I'm just saying that, when you get a momentum swing like that, it just takes the wind out of your sails. And then the next thing you know, you're down 2 scores and you're trying to come from behind on a very strong Seattle defense. Even though their offense isn't great, they did just enough. The first half, we did good against stopping the run, other than the gashes. You know, if you go back and you look at Seattle's plays, each of the run plays, you're going to see 0, 1, 9, -2, 2, 13. Like they were good, not great, but then once the floodgates opened up, you know, it was just too little, too late. Some of that is scheme, and some of that is poor play. Keanu Benton is just getting pushed around. I think the experiment of putting him at nose tackle needs to come to an end sooner rather than later. I don't think he is big enough and strong enough to command the double team the way a traditional 3-4 nose tackle should. So I'm hoping YA Black gets a lot more playing time this week. Peyton Wilson, same thing. He's there, but I don't know that he is strong enough to be that run stuffy linebacker. I think we're really missing a guy like Landon Roberts, and I expect a guy like Cole Holcomb to get a little bit more time today, and maybe even the guy whose name escapes me right now that we picked up from the Patriots will be in there, as well as Jabril Peppers coming in now that he's got 2 weeks under his belt. So we'll see what's going to happen against that New England team. What are your thoughts on what you do know and what you have seen?
Again, you know, Seattle ran the ball effectively for the most part, sort of controlled the clock in the second half. Just looking at the team stats, they were both about the same on third downs. I mean, they both turned it over twice. It was a turnover fest there for a little while. But again, Seattle won the rushing battle, 117-72. And again, if you're turning it over and you can't sustain drives running the football, you're not going to win a lot of games. Look, they couldn't stop the run against the Jets either. Yeah. So again, you got to win the battle in the trenches. You hear it all the time. And right now, the Steelers' defense is getting pushed around in the trenches. Offensively, you're talking about the offensive line play. I get the concerns. Again, you don't want Rodgers running for his life. But from what I've seen, the Steelers are going to have to try and figure out on the offensive line and the defensive line, because you cannot continue the season like they are defensively. Now, can Tomlin and the team figure it out? Probably. But we'll have to see going forward. I mean, first downs were in favor of the Seahawks. Passing first downs, it was 13-6. Rushing first downs, Seattle won that battle 8-6. Not a lot of penalties. So, you know, both teams in that particular game were disciplined. It's just, again, I want to see the Steelers get Warren going. I want to see them get the running game going, because you cannot bank on a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers to bail you out. Oh, and by the way, Dees, I've said this. I said it at the beginning of the year. You know how many targets Darnell Washington has?
Not enough, but
none. He had none. I mean, none. I was looking at the stat line again. Darnell Washington in the passing stats: 0 targets, 0 receptions, 0 yards.
He did catch the 2-point conversion, but I agree. He is a monster. He's a mountain, and I don't see how you can defend him. I don't understand it myself. You're preaching to the choir. I also would like to say that Jaylen Warren needs to touch the ball more. Like, Look, I respect what Kenny Gainwell can do on the football field, but I don't think Kenny Gainwell is a guy that should get more than 10 touches. Like, he's a change of pace guy. If you paid Warren, you gave him this raise, this contract extension, then use him. You know, you went out and you drafted Caleb Johnson, who we'll get to that in a minute. Caleb Johnson's a workhorse, and the plan, I assume, down the road is that he would be the feature back. Now, whether or not that happens remains to be seen. But for the time being, you know, you've got a guy like Warren who is explosive, is a great receiver, a great blocker. I don't understand why he's not on the field 80% of the time unless he's worn out. You know, the only concern I have with Jaylen Warren is he has put the ball on the ground occasionally, but Until he does that, you got to feed him the ball. And again, back to your point, Darnell Washington needs to be targeted. He's too big, too strong. And if you're not going to target him, you park his ass right next to Broderick Jones and let him do what he did best in Georgia, which is block his ass off. As far as the defense,
I mean, Jalen Warren in the first game, he only got 11 touches.
Yeah, no, Gainwell had more. I don't know about snaps, but Gainwell definitely had more touches. Now the defense that you talked about them getting it fixed, I don't know. I honestly don't know because credit to the guys over at the Steel Here podcast, Kevin Adams, Jersey Jerry, Steeler fans. If you've never checked that out, do it. It's a very entertaining show. I had an opportunity to meet Kevin in person in Pittsburgh. Great guy. Anyway, he dug up some really disturbing stats, and I can't remember if it was the last 8 games or 6 games stretching back to last season. The Steelers rank either at or very near dead last in rushing yards allowed, points allowed, time of possession. I mean, just all these things. And now here we are, we went out and we spent all this money on these defensive stars, and we're seeing the same things. Now, nobody is going to convince me that this is a talent issue. Are these guys in their prime? No, probably not. Cam and Jalen Ramsey and all these guys, they're not in their mid-20s, late 20s, right when they're peak physical condition. But these guys can still play and play very, very well. So you can't tell me that that's it. So what is it then? And this is what, great coaching can elevate mediocre talent. We've seen it time and time again. Perfect example I can give you is Bill Belichick. Yes, he had the GOAT. He had Tom Brady, and then for a while he had Randy Moss, and he did have an occasional superstar on defense. But he never had a team, a Steeler defense like the Steeler defense, as far as stars at every level across the board, all pro guys. But they got it done. Whereas on the flip side of that, mediocre coaching can drop elite talent or great talent. Dave hates the word elite. And I think that's what we're seeing. I think that Mike Tomlin is so stubborn and hard-headed in his ways that he refuses to change. And that's why we keep getting stuck with these nobody coordinators. This Arthur Smith thing floored everybody. And I think that might have maybe come from over Tomlin's head, as far as, because we tend to hire from within. And since Dick LeBeau retired, we have seen nothing but hires from within. Keith Butler, I can't maybe Austin was immediate, but it's the worst kept secret in the NFL that the Steelers are their defensive coordinator is Mike Tomlin. The guy that has the title is just a guy there that, is a figurehead. We all know this is Mike Tomlin's defense. And one of the things that I saw that really kind of alarmed me was that there is I believe a TikToker, and his name escapes me, but he showed a video, side-by-side video, one from week 1 against the Jets, where they literally lined up in a 2 tight end, 1 back, 2 receiver tight set. And the 2 receivers ended up running kind of deep crossers. And it was the touchdown to Garrett Wilson, because the outside corners, there was man coverage. The outside corners played outside leverage. And when these guys go crossers, the corners are already a step behind. And when you're talking, players like Garrett Wilson, if you're a step behind, you're probably screwed. And then he showed another clip of the Seattle Seahawks game in 2 tight with 2 tight receivers. And what did they run? Double crossers. What was our defense? Man. outside leverage. What happened? Jackson Smith and Jigba wide open for a touchdown. The exact same play with the exact same defensive play with the exact same result, which was an opposing team touchdown. And until Tomlin agrees to give up the defensive, I'm not saying give it up completely, but let somebody else alter this defense to fit today's NFL, because it's different. It's vastly different from when Mike Tomlin became a coach.
I think schematically, not everyone's on the same page.
For sure.
And again, the halftime is all about making adjustments, D's. And for some odd reason, the Steelers just not have made the right adjustments at halftime. And until, like you said, if Tomlin would give up the reins to somebody who actually knows what they're doing, and can make those adjustments at halftime, you'll probably see more of this as the year goes on for Steelers fans. I hope not. But the fact remains is week one against the Jets, they didn't make adjustments. Last week, they didn't make adjustments. Again, you said on last week's show that they were going to predicate on stopping the run. Well, Walker had 13 carries for 105 yards. Charbonnet, I know he only had 10 yards rushing, but he touched the ball 15 times. So look, again, the NFL, like you said, it's a different NFL. You've got to make adjustments, and until the Steelers do that defensively, again, you can't ask Aaron Rodgers to bail you out all the time. 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
He's not going to make it.
You just can't. No.
The arm talent is still there. Like that play that he threw the deep ball to Freiermuth, it was a defensive penalty, so it didn't really, count on the stat sheets. But he threw just an absolute rocket to Freiermuth on like a deep corner route that Freiermuth honestly should have caught. But the arm talent is there. The legs, obviously not quite as much. But everything else, like he's still very sharp, but he's got to get rid of the ball quick right now because the offensive line isn't really doing its job to protect him. As far as the whole adjustment thing, yeah, I mean, we've seen that for years now. I will say that last week against the Jets, or I guess 2 weeks ago against the Jets, it was better in the second half, but still not great. This week, it was the exact opposite. They came out, and again, if you went and you look at all of their carries, each time, we actually came out fairly strong against the run. We just got gashed on plays here and there. And that's why it only took him 13 carries to get those yards. Jesus Christ, we gave up a touchdown on 3rd and goal from the 19. First time in NFL history that's happened. And that's inexcusable. And again, that game turned on just those plays, the kickoff, and then that interception. If you wipe those off the board, who knows what we're talking about this week. But the fact remains, something's got to change with this defense, and we should be getting Derek Harmon back. I think the last I read, he was going to play today, and I think that's going to help. I'm not saying that that's going to just be our end-all be-all fix, because we're still going to be short. To the best of my knowledge, we're going to be short Joey Porter and Deshaun Elliott, which should mean Jabril Peppers will play a little bit, but still, we're not going to see our full starting defense here for probably another couple weeks, but I'm not making excuses. Like, the talent is still very high level, so make something happen. And what kind of irritates the hell out of me is 2 years ago, we had a very strong defense with far lesser talent, and Brian Flores was our assistant defensive coach. His contract is up, and rather than say, here, you're now the defensive coordinator, they let him go and let Terrell Austin keep his job. Now, what's Brian Flores gone and done since then? He went to Minnesota, and now he has turned Minnesota into an elite defensive unit. And granted, maybe if I was a fan of Minnesota, I could answer this a little bit better, but I'm not. But the fact remains, I think if you grabbed any average NFL fan that wasn't a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, they couldn't name more than 2 Minnesota defenders. Can you, off the top of your head?
I
Right.
can name one. That's about it.
Harrison Smith is the only one that really pops in my head. And
yep, that's it. He's been
just
there forever, by the way.
Yeah. And it just, I can't help but wonder if Mike Tomlin would have just, swallowed his pride and took a step back and said, okay, Brian Flores, the defense is yours, what he could do with this talent. It's just, and it's something we may never know until somebody steps in, albeit the current Rooney or the next Rooney, and says, hey, because here's the thing. I know the players love Mike Tomlin, and most current and former players will tell you wouldn't want to play for any other coach. That's awesome. The results aren't there. If I'm a Rooney, and look, this is fantasy land, I know it's not going to happen, but if I'm Rooney, I'm like, look, you can be the head coach, but you have got to turn over the play calling and the schemes and everything to other people. You can go out there, you can be the rah-rah guy and make the final decisions, but you need to put your trust in a good scheme coordinator. The Steelers are notorious for being cheap when it comes to coaching staff. We have Pat Meyer coaching our offensive line for the last 3 years. If you look at his resume, it'll make you sick. He's never really accomplished anything worthy of holding the job that he holds right now. And you could have gone out and brought a Mike Munchak back a few years ago, but they didn't do it. And now we're suffering because I watched a lot of SEC football over the last few years, being a Florida fan. And, because it's so prominently featured, no matter what region of the country you're in, Broderick Jones is not a bad left tackle. And I think with a coach that can actually teach fundamentals in the NFL game, I think Broderick Jones could be dominant. But Pat Meyer isn't that, and his track record has shown that. And now we got a guy that we, traded up for that is probably going to get cut unless he drastically turns it around before the end of this season. And it's if we lose this game today, and it's the same usual suspects that we've seen where the offensive line sucks. We can't get a running game going. We get the ball run down our throats. Man, it's going to get real loud real early because you can already look, the fan base is already like they turn on Tomlin right away. But you are starting to see more and more of the media guys, the local media guys are starting to question just exactly how long that they can keep this up with Mike Tomlin. You've been there, but 18 years, 19 years now. Your playoff record is well below average. Haven't won a playoff game since 2016. And it's week after week of, the great speeches and the Tomlinisms and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, nothing changes. But at what point do you cut the cord? It's sickening. The more I think about it,
for the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
I've been here for the last 3-4 years with him. Oh, he's got to go. But I've got a good buddy that I've done sports radio. I did sport radio with back in the day. He's a diehard Steelers fan. And I said to him every year about Tomlin, and he's like, look, they're not going to fire him. They're just not. They just don't do that. In season anyway. Now, after the season they let him go, that's a different thing. But they're not going to get rid of Tomlin during the season. It's not what the Rooneys do. It's not what the Steelers have done. They've only had 3 head coaches in their history. And look,
no, that's not true.
And not
since 1969.
9, yeah. The last 50 odd years. So, look, and Tomlin always does just enough to keep the palate moist in the mouth. They'll be like 2-4, and then they go on a tear and they finish like 10-6 or 9-8 or 11 and whatever. They make the playoffs, they get bounced, but it buys them another year. So we'll see after this year. Look, I'm agreeing with you. Like, what did Bill Belichick do? Yes, Bill Belichick was the head coach, defensive genius, but he hired top-notch people around him, coordinator-wise, again, that taught fundamentals, and you just don't see it in the NFL anymore. You know what I mean? Why don't more teams hire like veteran offensive or defensive players to come in, like a Bruce Matthews offensive lineman, or like a Taylor Lewan, who might teach physicality, or Anthony Munoz for the Bengals, who was a coach for a while. Fundamentals and top-notch coaching in the NFL right now is a lost art. And if you're able to find people like that defensively and offensively on your staff, more power to you, because maybe that is what the Steelers need on both sides of the ball. I don't know. But some teams have figured it out and some haven't.
And to be fair, Tomlin has taken some bad teams to winning records. He might have had a decent player here and there, but not, superstars, not to the degree of what he's got right now. And the thing with Belichick is, he did have some really good talent, but never like a lot. But the thing with that he would do so much of is you would see him change his schemes up a little bit. He didn't just stick with one thing and run it ad nauseum. He would alter. Like 1 week, Belichick's defense could come out there in a 3-4 man scheme. And then all of a sudden he plays another team that maybe doesn't match up well with that. And they're out there running a 4-3 with, a cover 2 zone. Like Belichick was as a complete defensive genius that could adjust with whoever he was matching up against. And we haven't seen that. And while we're talking about the defense, one of the things that I wanted to bring up today, and I've seen a lot of chatter. I mean, it started last season and it's continued this season. TJ Watt. If somebody comes to me and says to my face that TJ Watt is a bum, is overpaid, he's not doing enough, we're fighting. Watch what happens when TJ Watt is on the field. They don't run the ball his way. There are stats that back that up. Teams average like 2.5 yards a carry when they run to TJ's side. When they run to the other side, they're averaging like 6 yards a carry. Jack Sawyer, rookie out of Ohio State. I think he's got a promising future. Got his first sack last week. Do you know why he got his first sack last week? He came off almost untouched off the edge. Well, why was that? That's because a tackle, a tight end, and a fullback, 3 players were blocking TJ Watt right next to Jack Sawyer. So don't tell me TJ Watt is not worth the money. Teams are scheming for TJ Watt. They're getting rid of the ball quick. And, Highsmith is hurt again. And look, I love Alex Highsmith when he's there. He's a playmaker. But it's time. Like he's become a liability because he can't stay on the field. And if we could trade him, I'm all for it. He is a high dollar, not super high, but still, he's getting paid very, very well. And I like what he brings, but at the same time, you can't count on him. And I think that that's probably where they're going after this season. I think this will probably be Highsmith's last year, especially if they see what they if they like what they see with Jack Sawyer's development. We know Herbig is a great pass rusher. His weakness is stopping the run, just because he's a little bit undersized. But yeah, I'm sick and tired of this TJ Watt shit. The man is still one of the best NFL defensive players, period, bar none, end of story. He needs some help. and he's not getting it right now.
Well, he gets hurt a lot. Well, why do you think he gets hurt a lot? When you feel like you have to do too much, and you're drawing that much attention, there's other players on the defense that have got to step up. And right now, through the first 3 games, nobody else is stepping up. Look, Cam Hayward is still a beast, but he's old.
Yeah.
Let's just face it. Father Time catches up to everybody.
Undefeated.
And again, if any player on the offensive side or the defensive side that feels like they have to do too much, they press, they push their bodies. And that's when injuries happen. So, with TJ, I'm with you. He's not overpaid. He's a beast when he's on the field. It's just that it's just like offensively and defensively, D's. It's like an engine. When one piston isn't working, the other 5 suffer. So, and again, it's got to be well oiled too. If you've got like a squeaky or a leak in your oil pan somewhere, guess what happens? All that other oil starts to go bad and it starts to filter out. So, again, I think the Steelers can correct it. Don't get me wrong, but some shit has to change. You got to run the ball more. Keep your defense off the field as much as you can. But again, defensively, you've got to stop. It's got to be complementary football. And right now, the Steelers defense is playing well. The offense isn't playing well. And then there's no happy medium right now, offensively, defensively, special teams. Look, if they can make a change and say to the kid after he botched the kickoff last week, guess what? You ain't kicking. You're not returning kickoffs anymore.
Yeah,
you're not. You know what I mean? So, why can't they change offensively, defensively, schematically? I don't know. Maybe we'll see it against the Patriots this week.
I'm glad you brought up special teams because I did want to address this. First off, Caleb Johnson. I have 2 points to make about this. Caleb Johnson, by my count, and I believe returned a total of 2 kickoffs at Iowa. 2. Why the hell is he on an NFL kickoff return team? Well, we want him with the ball in his hands to kind of get a feel for it. Kickoff's a different animal. I mean, like that's not how you learn to be an NFL running back, in my opinion. So I don't understand why he was out there. Point number 2. Caleb Johnson is, I don't know his exact age, but I'm just going to ballpark it and say he's 21, 22 years old. Probably been playing football for a long time. And I would like to think that if you're playing football, you're at least enough of a fan that you've watched football occasionally. I know that the kickoff rules has changed, but we have heard now from Joe Hayden, who played for the Steelers, played on their special teams, was there with Coach Danny Smith. And he has said that Coach Smith coaches this kind of stuff. Kickoff is a live ball.
Yeah.
Always has been.
Yep.
I know there's a little bit of alterations with the whole landing zone now, but still, if you have any questions at all, just remember the one fundamental thing that has been around for a very, very long time, and that's a kickoff is a live ball. So shame on him for not knowing it or forgetting it. He's a rookie. I get it, but that's god awful. And I still think that he could be an effective running back. So I hope this doesn't completely shatter his confidence. I'd like to see him, I'd like the Steelers to show him a little bit of boost, like, put him in there. Not a kickoff return, but like let him run the ball, let him, kind of build himself up. That being said, there's probably some people that may watch this that weren't alive when this happened. But literally, as I watched that ball bounce over his head and I watched him stand there, I had like PTSD flashbacks to 1990. I believe it was week 1, might have been week 2. I can't 100% remember that, but it was a home game. And we were playing the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers kicked off, and the kickoff returner did the exact same thing. The ball bounced. He watched it roll towards the end zone and kind of started to jog off the field. 49ers scooped it up. I'm not sure that they scored I mean, they took it into the end zone, but I think the rule might have been dead ball where you recovered it back then. I can't remember exactly.
Right.
But that running back that did that was a rookie by the name of Barry Foster.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you remember Barry Foster?
Barry Foster. Well, yep.
Yeah. Once Bill Cowher took over there in the 91-92 season, Barry Foster became his feature back and was one of the best backs in the league.
Yep.
So Steeler fans, if you're really hard on Caleb Johnson right now, just remember that one play is, doesn't have to define the career of this rookie running back. He could still be a good one. He's just not a good kick returner.
What it says to me more is the fact that maybe the Steelers don't trust anybody else back there at the time. You know what I mean? So let's give the kid a shot. They obviously don't trust anybody else being back there to return kickoff. So,
I mean, Scotty Miller's got some speed. Throw him back there.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you're right. That's probably why he was there, to get him a feel for game speed. And because, they really don't want to risk losing anybody else because, sometimes freak injuries happen during kickoff returns. But yeah, this week's interesting because they are activating Trey Sermon, running back who has played, bounced around the league a little bit. I believe he's played for the Niners, the Colts, and I think that he has returned kicks. So it might not bode well for Caleb Johnson's activity this week, and I wouldn't be surprised if he actually is inactive. I think that they're bringing Trevor Sermon up for the sole purpose of returning kicks, and he'll be kind of the emergency guy. So,
or they'll stick game. They might stick Gainwell back there because I know he returned one last week. I think I saw.
Yeah,
for like
actually, that's the two returners is Gainwell and Caleb Johnson.
Oh, they have two back there. Okay.
Yeah, because of the way the rules are now with the zones.
With the zones, yeah.
Most teams will have two back there, so it's kind of weird the way that's working. So I don't know who they'll put. If they don't put Trey Sermon, I don't know who else it would be. I have to imagine that that's going to be what it is. So, all right. What do you think of your Chiefs' chances sitting at? I mean, I know what you're saying, but they're sitting at 0-2. They got a Sunday night game tonight?
Sunday night game
against the Giants. If there's a team that they can play to get healthy, it's the Giants. If they can,
I actually picked the Giants this week.
Did you really?
Yeah. Look, they can't run the football. Again, Brett Veach, the GM, they've done nothing to improve this team. Pacheco's not the same since he got injured 2 years ago. Kareem Hunt is past his prime. The receivers are serviceable. Kelsey's older. Mahomes is older. Chris Jones is older. Chris Jones is talking shit now. All Chris Jones was worried about last week, was the fact that, Jalen Hurts barely has 100 yards. He was talking shit at the end of the game. This team is not focused. There is no sense of urgency. There is no enthusiasm. You know what they look? They look tired, is what they look like. They look like a team for the last 6-7 years is that they've had a great run. What's the motivation? I picked the Giants. The only way the Chiefs are going to get back on track is, and again, the patchwork offensive line that is supposed to be improved isn't all that good. The only way they're going to beat the Giants today is if they run the football, establish the run, which opens up the play action pass. I have to see it first. And look, the Giants sucked week one. The Giants were in a barn burner last week. The only thing that I might say is that the Giants might be tired because of what transpired last week. But until I see it from the Chiefs, D's, you know this. I said 2 weeks ago, I don't think the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs because of what happens to the Super Bowl loser the following year. look, I just don't see it out of the Chiefs unless they go out and get somebody. When Devontae Adams was available, I thought the Chiefs should have gone after Devontae. Why? Because he's still a big time threat. He'd have been the primary target for Mahomes, which would have opened up everybody else. But if you look at their receivers right now, they can't get separation. And
the one guy that can get separation's hurt.
Is hurt, and the other guy is Rashee Rice.
Yeah. I mean, Juju's a good possession type, but yeah, he's not a game breaker anymore. He's not a guy that, is going to go out there and catch 10 balls. So yeah, I was really kind of surprised that they didn't make a move. I mean, you got Hollywood Brown, but you never know what you're going to get with him. It seems from week to week.
Nope.
I mean, you still got Andy Reid. So until they're they got the little mark next to the standings that says eliminated from playoff contention. You got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, so there's always a chance. Like they say on McAfee all the time, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, and there's still time, but it doesn't look good right now.
They lose today. Forget it.
Yeah, that 0-3 hole would be really, really bad. Is that in New York or in Kansas City?
It's in New York.
I know. 0-3 is damn near unrecoverable. I know it's happened, but not very often. And then Russ Wilson last week, we literally saw a season in a nut in literally a one game where he's looking awesome, throwing, the moon balls to Malik Neighbors and all this. And then all of a sudden he does what Russ Wilson does and just fucking blindly chucks it up there and basically throws the game away. It's what Russ is, what we thought he was. He's going to have those games from time to time, but he's also going to have those plays that just lose a game for you.
And you will see Jackson Dart at some point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I honestly think that if Russ would have struggled early, we would have seen Jackson Dart last week. But he was so good for most of the game that they couldn't pull the trigger. And I think that I think it could still happen this week.
It could be.
Comes out and struggles, yep. I still think we could see Jackson Dart. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and run through the slate here, give our picks, and then we'll get out of here and let everybody get along with their Sunday here.
No problem. I know you're suffering with allergies, boss.
Oh, they're killing me, bud. All right. So, I don't think that anybody in their right mind would have picked Buffalo. Miami. So, I was shocked it was even that close. But kicking off our for me noon, for you East Coasters out there, 1 p.m. We have the Green Bay Packers taking on the Cleveland Browns. I don't think we really even need to spend a lot of time talking about this, do we? I think the Packers right now look like one of, if not the best teams in football.
Most complete.
Yeah. So they are 7.5 points. I don't think is enough. I think they're going to dominate Cleveland. Then we got Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Cleveland might put up.
Oh, go ahead. What'd you say?
No, I was going to say Cleveland might keep it close for a half.
Yeah, their defense is strong, but I do think the Packers will eventually pull away there. But Indiana Jones travels to Nashville, take on the Tennessee Titans. Who is this? Who is Daniel Jones right now? The guy looks like, was New York that bad? That didn't know that, it's amazing how good he has looked these last 2 weeks. And I was on this very show screaming, I don't want Daniel Jones. And don't get me wrong, I think Aaron Rodgers is fine. But yeah, I mean, if I would have got this Danny Jones, sure. I think they keep it going. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think the Colts are going to be 3-0 after this week.
I went back and forth on this game. This game kind of scares me because the Colts might come into this overconfident, thinking it's the Titans. I think it'll be closer than what most people think, but I think the Colts will eke it out unless Daniel Jones reverts to the old Daniel Jones.
Which, yeah, and it's a divisional game too, so I tend to agree with you. I
Yeah.
don't think this is going to be any kind of dominating win, but I think the Colts will do just enough. Then we got the John. It's John, right? John Browning. John Browning.
Jake.
Oh, Jake Browning. Cincinnati Bengals, because they refuse to protect one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in Joe Burrow, who's gone for a minimum of 12 weeks. And they go to Minnesota to take on a Vikings team that I can't figure out yet, also missing their starting quarterback, and will be starting today, Carson Wentz, who with today will set a new NFL record for being the only quarterback in NFL history to start 6 consecutive seasons on 6 different teams. That's wild.
That is, isn't it?
And
yeah, I was just gonna say, Minnesota's favored by 3.5. Vegas might know something I don't. I trust Jake Browning more than I do Carson Wentz. It'll probably come down the last second field, but I'm taking the Bengals.
You know what? The Vikings defense is tough. Carson Wentz he can look great. He can look horrible. There is talent around him. I know that they're missing Aaron Jones, who went on IR, but they still have JJ. Mason's look solid. I'm gonna take the Vikings here in a squeaker.
Okay. All right.
We'll skip that one for the end. Rams at Eagles. Battle of the unbeatens here, both 2-0.
Went back and forth on this one too. Everybody knows I hate the Eagles. Look, the Rams with Devontae Adams adds a new dimension. Eagles great against the run. Kyron Williams he doesn't have to be spectacular. He just has to do enough. I think the Rams are going to stick to the run game, try and keep the Eagles offense. Look, everybody keeps talking about the push D's. If you want to stop the push, get the Eagles in 3rd and 4 or better. You know what I mean? Or longer. Yeah. 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, you know what they're going to run. So get them in 3rd and 4 situations. Look, the Rams and the Eagles had a great one last year in the playoffs. I'm taking the Rams this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles, and I'm basing that solely on the West Coast to East Coast thing. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think across the board, the Eagles are probably a stronger team with a better running game. I do think it'll be close, but I'm going to take the home team. And as far as the tush push goes, it is what it is. That being said, if they're going to allow it, at least enforce the NFL rules. You know, they're jumping off sides before the ball is snapped. Half of them are lined up past the ball.
Yeah.
If you're going to allow the play, at least allow it within the rules of the NFL.
Agreed.
Then we got the Jets, who I believe Justin Fields is back. He is leading them down to Tampa Bay to take on the 2-0 Buccaneers. Go ahead.
Look, I didn't like what I saw of the Jets last week. I thought they would come out strong against the Bills, and they laid an egg. Traveling down to Tampa. Tampa's favored by 6.5. Look, the Jets might keep it closer than what people think, but the Jets are the Jets, man. I got to go Buccaneers.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I don't know for sure if Justin Fields is back. If he's not, then Tyrod Taylor will start, which is interesting because back when Baker Mayfield was a Cleveland Brown, that is the quarterback that replaced him was Tyrod Taylor. But yeah, I think the Bucs win fairly easily here, playing at home. Baker's got them boys just really humming right now. Yeah. All right. Raiders sitting at 1-1, go to the 1-1 Commanders. We already know that Jaden Daniels is out. Marcus Mariota will be the starting quarterback.
Washington's still favored by 2.5. I don't like the fact that Jaden's out. The Raiders might not be too bad of a football team. Look, I'm going to take the Raiders on the road. I know the West Coast thing. It's a 10 a.m. start for them. I just think without Jaden's leadership in the backfield, I've got the Raiders taking this one.
Yeah, Geno Smith was horrible last week.
He was.
Absolutely horrible. So I expect him to have a bit of a bounce back. That being said, I'm not sure that I trust Mariota or the running game of Washington. So I'm going to say that the Raiders win a squeaker here.
Okay.
Falcons at Panthers. I'm just shocked that this line is only 4.5. I'm going to take the Falcons. I mean, Panthers haven't showed me any kind of real fight.
Yeah. Bryce Young sort of reverting back to the way he was before he had the better half of the second half of last year. You're going to see a heavy dose of Bijan Robinson. Look, the Panthers might put up a fight for a half, but I've got the Falcons taking this one.
Yeah. Texans taking on the Jaguars, who are 1-1, but have looked as good as they've looked in a long time. Texans 0-2, and they are really struggling right now. I'm going to say the Texans finally get a win here, but I do think it's going to be close. But I think that they find a way, and CJ kind of puts them on his back.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think the Texans start 0-3. The Jaguars, until I see it on the field out of them, I can't trust them right now. I'm going Texans with the W.
Getting into the afternoon slate, we got the Broncos traveling out to LA to take on the Chargers. Chargers 2-0, Broncos 1-1. Who you got?
Look, Chargers look tough right now. Broncos with the loss to the Colts, who right now look to be a good football team. Somehow, some way, AFC West battle. It's just always a slobber knocker. I'm going to go with the Broncos close.
Yeah, Bo Nix is kind of looks like he might be falling into that sophomore hole. Broncos defense is very stout, but the Chargers are no slouch, although they did lose Khalil Mack this week. I'm going to go with you. I think that the Broncos find a way to squeak one out in a tough divisional game on the road.
Yep.
Saints Seahawks. The Saints just have not shown me enough.
No.
I think the Seahawks get the win here.
Seahawks, yep.
Cowboys in Chicago. Again, it's the Bears. I don't see it. I think the Cowboys are going to get this win.
This might be a 53-50 game.
Yeah.
Cowboys favorite on the road, 1.5. Look, both defenses stink. Look, both quarterbacks are what they are. This probably be a shootout. Cowboys close.
I can see it. The Cardinals are undefeated at 2-0, which
tough one.
They're going to end up 8-9. We already know it. Like that's Cardinal football. They're traveling to the 49ers to take on Mac Jones, because we know Brock Purdy is out again. Although Mac Jones looked great last week.
Yep.
That means I'm going to take the Niners here. Even as banged up as they are, I think Mac Jones really thrives in that offense. And the Cardinals are due to have a Cardinal game. And I think today might be one of those.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals sort of held on against the Panthers last week. Now you got to, you're at the East Coast. Now you got to come all the way back again, West Coast game. Look, I think the 49ers will win, but again, it'll be close.
Agreed. And then Chiefs Giants are the Sunday night tilt. I believe you already said that you picked the Giants, correct? That's in New York.
I did.
Chiefs are 6.5-point favorites. Look, as a Steeler fan and in the AFC, I would love to see the Giants win this game. But I just think that this is the week that the Chiefs kind of remind everybody that they're not quite dead yet. But we shall see.
Okay. And what about the Monday night game?
The Monday night game, Lions-Ravens, without a doubt, should be the game of the week. That is in Baltimore. Ravens' offense is looking great. Their defense has been shaky.
Yeah.
Lions, same thing. Like, they looked horrible against Green Bay. They looked like Super Bowl champs against Chicago. Who you got?
Just because it's a little bit of home cooking, I'm going to take this again. Could be another shootout, but I'm going to take the Ravens in another close one.
Yeah.
I know you want the Lions to win.
I want the Lions to win really, really bad, but the game is in Baltimore. It's a primetime game. I think that alone is going to be enough to kind of put them over the edge. Again, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a tough game, a shootout, probably, 38-35 kind of game. But unfortunately, I'm going to take the Ravens here. And now, before we get out of here, finally, Steelers at the New England Patriots. Traditionally, we don't play well against New England in New England or anywhere else for that matter. But, a lot of those years were against Belichick and Tom Brady. They're gone. We're going up against Drake May and Mike Vrabel. Give me what you got.
I am going to go Steelers, D's. I think the Steelers will get back to basics. I think the Steelers will pound the rock. It will keep some pressure off of Aaron Rodgers after last week's result. I think Jalen Warren sees 20 touches today in the backfield. I'm going to go Steelers in a close one on the road. I still don't trust the Patriots yet.
Boy, I wish I had your optimism. I need to go through my picks from the preseason because I probably have to change most of them. I just don't see it. I don't. I've lost faith in our coaching staff's ability to make adjustments. I want to see it as much as humanly possible. But maybe some of this is my own whacked out superstition of, pick against them and then be happy when they win. But I see the Patriots somehow, some way finding a way to win this 23-20.
Okay.
And I hope to everything I'm wrong. Ryan, before I let you go here, why don't you tell the folks where they can find you?
The Cole County Network Entertainment, Mondays through Thursdays, 7 to 8. It is early evening sports buffet with the Ginch. Monday evenings from 8 to 9, I've got Student Body Right, which is all college football. And then on Tuesday nights, it is End Zone to End Zone, which is all NFL. And that is from 8 to 9 p.m. You can always reach me on the Twitter machine or whatever the fuck they call it. You can reach me there. You can reach me on Facebook. You can reach me on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever your comments, questions, criticisms. It's all welcome.
All right. Well, I appreciate you joining me today. Dave, you need to get your shit together and get your Sundays off. So hopefully he'll be back with us next week. And of course, Ryan, anytime that you're available, you're more than welcome to join us as well. To you out there watching, appreciate you sticking around. Go Steelers, and we will see you guys next week. See ya.
See ya.